policymakers and government side found this very interesting, because they also feel the challenge that it's very difficult to make very effective legislation for technologies that are still developing. So what we actually did was develop a prototype law that could be tested before you would get the actual law. And I think this is a very good way forward in order to regulate technologies into the future, because we can only move forward if we do this together, you know. There's more information in the link if somebody is interested. Then this is an overview of services we deliver for companies. I'm not pitching this to you, but it's just to give you an overview about what the market is interested in. And in all honesty, there's not so much interest yet, except from big tech companies and national governments. But we feel quite a steep rise in the last few months from all kinds of companies. So we're talking about digital ethics and risk scans. We can do AI impact assessment. We can develop visions for technology and innovation. We can perform an ethics dialogue. We can come up with a digital ethics framework. We can work on value-sensitive design, come up with communication strategies, and monitor all kinds of developments. This is the overview of services we offer, apart from legal services like privacy compliance and policy work. And this is still, experimental in a way, but the demand is rising. This is basically the presentation of the company, so I won't bother you with that, but I'm happy to take any questions now. And if there's any further questions on the business rationale, then please let me know.
I think, thank you so much, Ton, for your talk, and I hope you're feeling well now. And
sorry, something went wrong in my slides, and it mixed me up a little bit, but I regrouped, so no problem.
Yeah, that was pretty quick. Thank you for that. And I think your talk has been wonderful, and what you rightly pointed out is, what is ethical means different to different people, different businesses, and there has to be a business rationale behind when we run the ethical AI. And we know that, many of the regulations are now coming into picture. We know about NIST, we know about GDPR, we know about HIPAA, and everybody is looking at the ethical side of the business, especially when so much AI is coming into the market and we are talking of growing technologies. And it was exciting to see your personal and professional life. But yes, the important part about it is how businesses can use this kind of data to drive their innovation. That is the thing which we look at when we talk about ethical AI in the background. And mainly the framework that you have shown for the trust, what ethics can do and how it can create trust is the most important thing, to be honest. I think we have few questions coming in. Thanks for sharing those business cases. I'm sure slowly we are getting there. Lot of companies, I know big tech have realized earlier, but more and more people are now realizing how much ethical AI is a responsibility towards society. I think that is what I would say in summary, and thank you very much. I have few questions. I'll go for it.
Yeah, please.
Yep. So can an equivalent of a Socratic oath? Sorry, I just lost the question. Let me just look at. Are you saying, John, that companies should wait for clear laws being in place before trying to be ethical? It's from David Wood.
No, absolutely not. But the fact is that many companies, they're not organized in a way that they think about ethical stuff. They have a legal department that think about legal compliance, and they do that from a legal point of view. So they have lawyers looking at that. Then you have a communications and marketing department. They look at sales. You have an investment relations department. They look at shareholder value. And these things at one point need to come together. And that would be, for example, at the boardroom or at the CEO. But to many of the CEOs, this is quite a new field. And it's also quite difficult because legislation is, at least it's clear, what is expected from you. But in the ethical debates, things can sometimes be not so clear. So it's much more complicated. And what we also see is that, for example, companies that think that are legally fully right and they launch some kind of service, but they overlooked how the consumers, for example, would feel about this. And they then end up in PR dramas because something explodes in the media. And then ethically everything or legally everything might be very sound, but still you have a problem. And that is quite new. And I think one of the reasons is also that people these days can, they have all access to all kinds of communication means. So, they can be organized very quickly. And if there's something they don't like, it can get viral very quickly. So this is a new aspect to that also for CEOs and boards of companies.
Yeah, I hope that does answer the question. There's another one. What is the social economic effect of longitudinal data from the Federal Reserve System supports? Concerning the US Department of Education purchased over $1 trillion in defaulted student loans. These loans are monetized through fraudulent bookkeeping records by minorities through Gresham law. Do you have any thoughts on those?
I'm not sure if I fully understand that question.
The question is available on to the chat, but Harold, if you would like to come take the mic and just ask the question quickly, being conscious of time.
Yeah, thank you. My question relates to reverse AI. There is a state law in California that has had adverse effects. We're interested in using Grisham law to develop an AI to reverse the trends relating to high number of defaulted student loans that are monetized by banks and the Federal Reserve. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, it's about sensitive customer data, and is that right? Because we've seen governments develop all kinds of systems, and in the Netherlands we now have a problem with the tax departments that also used artificial intelligence for singling out possible fraud cases. And I think in the new legislation, in new proposed legislation, these systems are labeled as high risk, and they need special attention, and also fines are coming for that. Does that answer your question or not?
Well, we're interested in reversing trends, socioeconomic trends, using AI by identifying where the source of the issue resolved. Here in California, again, it would be a proposition. How do we undo a proposition using AI? A proposition in California is like a state constitution or a law that was passed by the voters.
I don't know if I can really answer that, but it's an interesting question. Absolutely.
Thanks, Harold. I think I'll move on to the next one. In interest of time, I can just take one or two more. So from Alex, we have a question. So what do we think ethics means now? Just abiding by the law or following some social principles or more ambitious goals like sustainability, equality, openness?
Yeah, that's a very good question, and I think there's not the answer is definitely it's not just following the law. I think what sparked the debate for ethics was basically we first saw that rising after the GDPR discussions were held in 2018. Suddenly the debate was about ethics, so it was not about just being compliant, but also realizing what kind of impact you would have and how you would have to carry responsibility for that. And especially with big tech, you saw that these companies got so powerful and had so much impact on every aspect of life that the demand basically grows. Yeah, so that the societal demand on these kind of companies is going beyond simply complying with legislation. And it's clearly displayed also in the debates about taxation. You know, that they optimize their tax, which is a normal thing for companies to do. But yeah, people don't buy that anymore. You know, they demand more from these companies, more responsibility. And I think that this is a natural thing. If you have so much impact, then your responsibility also grows. But it's also a challenge for these companies because they're learning. You know, most of these companies are not even 20 years old. We work with these companies and these people are not bad. You know, they're just doing their jobs, optimizing sales or marketing. But they're suddenly confronted with world questions they have to solve. And I think this will need time and they need experience in this kind of issues. And they also need a clear indication from society and governments what exactly is expected from them. And most tech companies, until they get full world dominance, they only exist of coders and marketeers. So what can you expect from them in terms of managing all kinds of societal issues? So they have to learn quickly.
Thanks so much, Ton. I think in the interest of time, thank you for your talk and answering those questions. I would now request you to look at the chat because there are more questions in there from people. And now I hand over to Richard for the next speaker.